What's up, waves? Welcome back to Anime Lane, the podcast where we take you down the yellow brick road of anime and have a look at everything it has to offer. As always, I'm your host, Notorious, and joining me once again today is Shaun.
Hiya.
And Melina.
What is up?
Today we're visiting Kobe during World War II and Grave of the Fireflies. I could not think of a good line segue into that movie.
No, you just kind of get dropped in.
Yeah, so I just kind of had to go with that.
Yeah.
Just sort of get smacked with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Written and directed by Isao Takahata, music by Michio Mamiya, and based on the 1967 short story by Akiyuki Nosuka, which are based on his experiences during the war. Then it's off to the forest in post-war Japan in My Neighbor Totoro, written and directed by Hayao Miyazaki, music by Joe Hisaishi. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name, Hisashi, something like that.
I'd say it something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
But
Animation production for both is by Studio Ghibli, and both were released in Japanese theaters April 16th, 1998 as a fucking double bill.
1988.
1988.
Oh god.
They were both a double feature. So you would walk into a cinema.
And you'd go through it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there was no
fucking
there was no
motions.
consistency to
Yeah.
the run order. So you would sometimes walk in and see Grave of the Fireflies first, which arguably is the best option.
I'd say it's the correct
Yeah.
order.
Yeah.
But sometimes you would walk in and see Totoro first and then get hit with Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
The whiplash. Imagine
Yeah.
the whiplash.
I know.
Oh my. Yeah. Just sitting there. Aww.
Yeah. I was watching the interview with Takahata that's on the Grave of the Fireflies Blu-ray after I watched it, and he was like, yeah, some people, if Totoro was shown first, would get up and leave during Grave of the Fireflies, and I'm like,
Fair.
you know what, fair.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
No. My Neighbor Totoro is available on Netflix alongside a number of other Studio Ghibli titles, while both are licensed in the UK by Studio Canal and are available on DVD and Blu-ray as part of their Studio Ghibli collection. It's licensed in the US by G-Kids, available on Blu-ray and, of course, digital to buy and rent services in both regions. Grave of the Fireflies is unfortunately not part of the Netflix deal at the time of recording, and I don't think it has been for the past 3 years since they went up on Netflix. So yeah, sadly you'll need to either go buy that on Blu-ray or buy it on digital, or
Fine ways.
sail the seven seas. We don't really care.
We're not condoning
We're not
piracy.
condoning it.
We're just telling you it happens.
it happens.
Yep. Don't tell them.
So how do we
the
even
fuck?
start?
So you advised us
To
to
watch-
watch Grave of the Fireflies.
Yes.
first.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you and fuck you.
Because I've seen at least everything we have on the running order for Ghibli, like in the next season. I've seen everything, so I can at least advise,
Don't do this.
And I picked Grave of the Fireflies when we were like, okay, well, we said we were going to do more Ghibli this season, and we haven't. I was like, we're doing Fireflies first, because if we put it like last, I would not have been able to face watching it again.
Fair.
I want to start off just from that. I just want to say this movie was beautiful. I'm never watching it again.
100%. It is
Beautiful
the
way to put it. Yeah.
best movie you'll never want to watch again.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that a couple of times now after looking it up after watching it, and it fits so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one you don't need to watch again to remember.
No.
It is ingrained.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
experience it once and
Yeah.
you'll be not satisfied, but just sort of, content
Yeah.
with,
Like, yeah.
okay,
We'll put this
I've
away
watched
now.
it. It was beautiful. Never again.
Part of me was considering, like, can I come into this having not rewatched it?
Oh.
But then I checked, like, when I had originally watched it, which was, I think, 2017. And I was like, that's a bit too long to have,
So you had to go through it again.
I had to go through it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I have this morning before work.
Holy
Yeah.
shit!
I'll just watch it then. Because I thought your warnings were like related to, it's just not very good.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, from how you described it when you
Yeah.
were talking to us, I thought the film had problems.
No,
Yeah.
I think, like, there was no way to, I think, properly convey
Or warn.
or warn
yeah.
without
Yeah.
kind of giving away what
Everything.
the experience of the film
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of sitting down for like, I guess I'll have to get through this because I don't think it'll be very good. Yeah, and then I'll have lunch and go to work.
Yeah, no, that's all of Goro Miyazaki's
Yeah.
Ghibli movies, which we aren't at yet. But yeah, I remember watching this the first time, and this was sort of earlier on in my anime, like watching, experience, and like
We're a weeblet.
yeah, and so was just
Weebling.
buying Ghibli movies and going, it's Ghibli, of course it's gonna
duh.
be
A masterpiece.
this feel good time.
Oh,
And then I sat down and watched Grave of the Fireflies, not knowing anything about Isao Takahata at the time, and not knowing that he's the better director for Ghibli, even though he's done less work. And yeah, I watched it thinking I'm gonna get this heartfelt, uplifting piece.
Like
Yeah.
Totoro.
Yeah,
Or Spirited Away.
I'm thinking, I'm gonna get, a story about enduring through war and
yes.
perseverance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And no, I got fucking punched in the gut multiple
You
times.
got reality.
I
my
got
friend.
reality, yeah.
Like what it kind of made me think is like, this is a type of movie I hate to say, you should show kids in high school.
Yes.
In their
the same
history
thing.
class.
Yes, because
'Cause-
we don't talk enough about.
It humanizes.
yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say humanizes everyone, but it really gives you
A
kind of the
perspective.
perspective of even as much as our history books would try to do this. We're like,
Yeah.
imagine you
Yeah.
have a family. Nothing will hit you like a
No.
bus.
No.
Like watching a brother care for his little sister and
Yeah.
having to watch her die.
Yup.
Very
Regardless
slowly,
of his
very
best
gradually.
efforts to save her. And there's nothing he can do.
He tries so hard, but like
He's a kid.
he's a child. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
also a child.
Yeah.
Because when you think, Japan during World War II, you think war crimes, you think
Yeah.
a horrifically racist, xenophobic.
Yeah, all the evil.
All
that
the
was
evil
in
stuff.
in the regime, but
But you realize the citizenry were innocent. They weren't.
Yeah.
It's almost like the citizenry of Nazi Germany. They didn't necessarily agree with Hitler.
Not every
No.
German was a Nazi.
No, exactly. They either fell for I can make the country good again
Yeah.
at a time that it was desperately needed, or by the time it's too late, you're just kind of having to go along with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't want to say the boat has sunk and you're on it.
Yeah.
You're on it. Like,
Yeah.
you might as well try your best at that point.
Because you can see even in the movie, like them wanting to believe that they're on the right side of it, and
Yeah.
that they still have this really strong belief in their country and their nation.
Yeah, like there was some conversations that sort of they didn't like strike me like emotionally, but just sort of like took some sort of impact. It's the fact that like they're being bombed and they're talking about being invaded, and they're still got like that hope or sense
Yeah.
that like they'll still come through on this on the winning side.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of disconnect that just sort of was like, wow, they are really hoping or like
Yeah.
trying their best here. I don't know why that specifically got to me. It's just
Yeah, I think it's like you say, you like humanizes them
Yeah.
in that way that like no other media that covers this era has ever, I think, done. I think in the way that Schindler's List kind of showed what happened to the Jews during World War II, this almost shows. This is a really weird and bad comparison now that I think about it. How do I get out of this?
I think in the sense that like it shows you a perspective of people like suffering, obviously on different like
Yeah.
extents,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, because obviously it's not the same.
No.
But you just sort of get that sense of like hopelessness.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that the Jews were people who were subjected to something that they weren't.
They had no choice.
They had no choice in,
Yeah.
and that's almost what like people who lived in mainland Japan also went through, because they weren't necessarily involved in the war, but they were being heavily bombed. Most cities in Japan had to be rebuilt post-war because they were just absolutely fucking devastated.
Yeah.
We see the city like they grew up in. It's flat.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Like they have
Like-
an elementary school and that's it.
Yeah, and it's not just
that's all.
like conventional bombs that hit the ground and detonate. It's fire bombing, which is unbelievably cruel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the first time I saw it, I was kind of like, why aren't they exploding? Are they
I thought
like
the same thing.
defective? But no, they're just spreading fire.
Yeah. Like that's the
And-
whole point.
Yeah, and they take you through the elementary school, and you see the amount of people that are hurt, and like he's like 12 years
Yeah,
old,
it must be.
very young, and his 3-4-year-old, sister, and their mother is like burnt.
Yeah, like they hit you with
I don't want to
that.
say burnt to a crisp, but she's basically
She's
gone.
beyond third degree.
Yeah, like she's
fully wrapped and bandaged, and I think
it's
even
like all
he,
the skin is gone. At
Yeah.
that.
yeah, I think even he at that point realizes like this is
Yeah.
she's done.
Yeah, it can't come back from that.
It fucking hits
Yeah.
you because
Well-
this happens within the first like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the first 20 minutes, it's like mother figure gone.
You see like the
Father
mother
figure,
like as like
war.
normally like
Yeah.
and she says, "Oh, I'm just going to like the shelter," sort of very calmly, sort of like
Yeah.
Oh, my medicine. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
take-
like probably putting on like a mask for the kids and
Yeah.
stuff. But like the next time you see her, she's like like a walking burnt corpse
Yeah.
almost. And
I mean,
it's,
she's not walking.
She's not walking.
well, I know, but like living corpse or something
Yeah.
like, to that
Yeah.
extent.
She's almost like some of the images that you see from like Hiroshima and stuff, of the
Yeah.
survivors who
Yeah.
were on like the very kind of periphery of like when the bomb dropped. But the opening sequence with like the firebombing and stuff is all based on the director Takahata's like lived experience of living in Okayama, I think it was, which experienced firebombing.
And he was around 10 at the time.
He was around 10 because he was born in 35.
okay.
And so he was like 10 and he had quite a big family, he says, but it was him and his sister, his like immediate older sister, like they were all trying to escape, but they ran into town rather than running out.
Because in the
and the
panic,
confusion.
like, they just got
Yeah,
confused.
no.
And
of
they were
course.
stuck, surrounded by fire, and the only way they got out was by like dousing themselves in water and running through the fire. And he says his sister got pretty badly burnt and scarred, but he managed to get out. It's quite
You can tell, I think, in the movie that they know what they're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, like
And they're not trying to make it more cinematic or
No.
make it like sensationalized. It is real to an extent where you kind of, realize the extent.
yeah.
Of it.
Yeah. I said this to you when on the night we watched it, and like after I just watched it, you can tell. I think it hits more because you can tell on some level that it's made by people who lived it. and
Yeah.
experienced it. There's a genuineness to it all that makes it hit a lot harder than it would if it was just like another sort of World War II movie
Yeah.
made like today or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you make stuff like that now, it's never by people who lived that experience because
No.
they're no longer within the industry
No.
or capable of making movies. So
Yeah, and-
you lose something.
And not to like downplay like obviously the effects of like modern documentaries, but like there's a sort of certain sense that they sort of like mythologize it
Yeah.
because it's the war. It's like
Yeah.
affected history since then.
Yeah.
And we've got this big idea of it. We sort of sometimes forget that it's a real thing that happened in a
And
sense.
it's actual people. Like,
Yeah.
we know numbers.
Yeah.
But to see, every number is one person with a life that was cut short.
Mm.
And this film to me really just kind of shows that. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel the human element.
Yeah. And I think doing it through the lens of like a child who is forced to take care
Yeah.
of his way younger sister.
Yeah.
The best he knows, but he knows nothing.
No.
There's
His
and-
idea is to find like a hole in like a hole in a wall
Yeah.
or like a hill or whatever and live in it.
It's an old shelter, I think, that doesn't
Yeah.
get used.
it's an ulcer, and we we know better. We're adults.
Yeah.
We see them. We're like, no,
No.
that is don't. do-" But you can see
it's a desperate
that, yeah.
situation.
But you can see that's what broke me the most. The little girl, she's so happy
Yeah.
just
She has
to
no
see
idea.
because she doesn't realize like you're living basically out in the open, and we know that's gonna get you killed.
Yeah.
But to see her, she's making the best of it. She's having a great time, and that for me hit the hardest personally. Knowing having siblings.
Yeah, I think that definitely plays a part in it for like
Yeah,
us.
it kind of hits you because it's something you care about. You feel a sense of responsibility for, so you can kind of put yourself in like, well, if something well, dear God, no, but something happened to your parents, you would have to be the one to take care of the younger ones.
Yeah.
That's the natural responsibility.
It's just how it happens.
Yeah, and even if, again, God forbid that would happen to like my family now, I would feel as helpless as a 10-year-old
Knocking
kid
on wood.
would.
Yeah.
Because to be dropped into that, I mean, they had their aunt who was a bitch.
Oh yeah, fuck the aunt.
Fuck
Yeah,
that. Fuck
you know,
her.
These two kids, they lose their mom, they go to their aunt, and you're like, oh, thank God they have someone to take care of them. Aunt hates the fact that they're there.
Yeah. So she
And-
despises them.
Yeah. And is constantly telling this child, why won't you join the army and be a man? It's like, he's a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Why do you keep going to the shelter? It's like, let him try to live.
like she treats this like at most 15-year-old is
Oh,
what I
yeah.
got. Like how people in like World War One would treat like people who didn't go to war or anything
Yeah,
like that.
like-
Like that sort of disgust and like ostracization. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's a child.
Yeah.
It's your
And-
nephew.
Yeah.
But no, like, sympathy.
No.
None. Like, one of the first things she does is, I'm going to sell your mom's stuff.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I understand the necessity
Oh,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, I understood like that part at first because I was like, well, you kind of need to
Yeah.
for food, but
And food is very scarce.
Yeah.
Very
Scarce.
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 you can say it either
There
way.
is
I don't
little
care.
food.
It's being rationed. Was it being rationed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They I don't know if at the time that she did that because it's not until later when he's like talking to the old man trying to like get food when they're living in the
Yeah.
bunker that rationing gets brought up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what the timeline of that was.
I don't. Yeah, it's not something I don't know like that about the Japanese side because obviously over in here in Britain we had rationing throughout the war.
Yeah, and post-war as well.
Yeah, for
They-
a while.
I think they mentioned this month's rations are yada yada.
Yeah.
But you could tell that from the way the adults were talking to these children, they knew they were not going to make
Yeah,
it.
like
Yeah.
there was a big lack of compassion throughout the whole thing that just sort of broke me as well.
Yeah.
Like these adults just didn't care.
I mean, what could they do?
Show
Something.
kindness.
Yeah.
Just
Like
at
that's
least
not
Yeah.
at
much.
least show the kids that they don't think they're the scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This woman's literally clawing at the bottom of a pot and eating the leftovers from it, and then is like berating her nephew.
For being ungrateful.
Yeah. When she isn't fucking giving him food in the first place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then when she stops giving them food, she gets upset that they get their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, what were you
what,
expecting here?
what was your plan
No,
here?
this
Yeah.
isn't how you're supposed to play the game.
Yeah. And I think the third line of like the fruit drops kills me.
Yeah.
Fucking kills me. We see it in the beginning. It's like a rusty old tin, and we hear there's something in it. So
Yeah.
we're, as an audience, we assume, oh, he's saving the last few. And, you can already make some connection. Oh, he's saving the last few, fruit drops for someone or when he really needs it. But realizing at the end
It's
that,
the sister's ass.
yeah.
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 Fucking,
Yep.
I genuinely cried a little.
yeah. Because even the parallel of her, she was chewing on marbles
Yeah.
in her death, pretending they were fruit drops.
And she was making like
Dirt rice balls.
dirt rice
Yeah.
balls, yeah, and like I
Jelly
made them. I
donuts.
made them for you.
Yeah, it's the innocence and like seeing war from children's eyes. Like,
Yeah.
they're playing. They're like, I made you rice balls out of dirt. It's a natural response to do because it's like, oh, we're lacking. I'll make them because make believe.
Yeah.
But she cannot realize, like,
No.
her brain, I don't think, could ever fathom
No,
at that
Especially
age.
when she's in that state as well.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
dehydrated. She's
malnourished.
malnourished.
Delirious.
Yeah. And for a doctor even to just say, yeah, she needs food.
Just get her food.
Yeah.
And he's just like, how?
Well, how do I get food? He's
Yeah.
like, you get food.
And the
Wait for
doctor's
the
like,
rations. Fucking I know. I think it's a very good movie. As
Yeah.
much as it fucking broke me.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah. I have honestly nothing negative I could say about it.
No, I don't think there's
absolutely not.
anything that I could lay at the film.
No. make me cry a little less.
But yeah, maybe that.
For what it was trying to do, it's like a perfect film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there's crying at movies, and then there's like the very intent of, we're gonna beat you down.
Yeah.
And make you feel.
We are gonna make you feel for these characters,
Yeah.
and we're gonna rip your heart out.
We're gonna break you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, even just like, it's a very subtle thing, or a very small thing, is when the sister has, you know, passed away, and he's holding her in the shelter. He's not, you know, a lot of these movies go the direction of screaming out or like yelling or crying or whatever, and he's just
Numb.
holding her, just numb, and
Yeah.
that just fucking broke me.
Because at that point, what has he got?
Yeah.
It's a hard fucking question. What does he have to live for?
Exactly.
He had dedicated his life to taking care of his sister.
Yeah.
And was stealing. During bombings,
Yep.
he would go into houses that could be, you know, bombed at any second to find scrapes of food. And like, stealing's not a good thing to do, and they mention it, but like, that's where compassion, like, even if it's a child, the conditions were just so horrible. And we could try to understand, but we would never in this day and age.
No, we are too far removed from any of this to understand it.
No,
It's-
absolutely not.
Like, watching stuff like this with like an open mind, you know, don't watch this with your friends. Like, no, this is, you sit down and you watch it.
Yeah.
You don't try to have a little giggle. I mean, there will be funny moments where you're like, "Aw."
This is the first movie in a very long time I think I didn't talk to you about, like, it's make any comments to you whatsoever while I was watching it. Like, I just said at in the first 10 minutes, this film's really sad, and then like an hour and a half later, I'm just
I got the Anakin gif.
I got the Anakin like crying gif, and I was like, I'm just gonna take the rest of the night to just recover.
Yeah.
But it's stories like these we need to continue.
Oh,
Absolutely, yeah.
Telling, you know, all the future generations, you know, being aware of what war has done, as much as, you know, we perhaps have like grandparents that we're not as disconnected as we think we are, but imagine like the children growing up now.
Yeah.
They won't have grandparents that went through it.
Did your grandparents live through it?
I think like the end bits maybe.
Yeah, because my granddad was like a kid around the time.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
My gran was born in 1939, and my granddad was born in 1942.
Yeah, I think one of my grandparents once said one of the earliest things they can remember is being evacuated. But like those are very vague memories, obviously.
Yeah. I just have to look up their age. I was like, I know how old they are. I don't know what year they were born, but yeah, they were near the end of it. So very few memories of it.
So
but,
even then, like, we're still on that edge, you know, like, had it been our grandparents' parents that were our grandparents, you know, our parents' grandparents,
Great grandparents.
words,
Yeah.
great grandparents, you know, then we would understand it. But like, when I was growing up, like, my great grandparents were already gone.
Yeah,
My
exactly.
great granddad, I think, did serve in World War II as part of the RAF.
Yeah.
But like, I don't have any memories.
No,
Yeah,
exactly.
same
So-
here.
Yeah.
Like the one of the stories I heard about one of my great grandparents, when the conversation just sort of came up, my mom basically just like told me that like he fought against like the Japanese in like the war, and like for the rest of his life he wouldn't buy any Japanese products.
Oh wow.
Which I think that's a pretty common story.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
actually.
'Cause I've
Yeah.
heard that a few times from like just internet forums
Yeah.
and stuff, but there's still a disconnect because I never met the guy.
Yeah. But, you know, I think it's important as, you know, a people to be aware
Yeah.
of the dangers and the terrors of war. Because, you know, we see it happening in other countries, but again, it doesn't affect us, so we
No.
don't feel it.
Yeah.
Seeing stuff like this really helps you, you know, realize it, and it humanizes.
Yeah.
And then-
Empathize with
yeah.
it, yeah.
The last piece of the puzzle we're missing is a fucking movie showing the very horrific American war crimes during World War II,
The internment
and
camps,
the internment camps and stuff. 'Cause that's a very, you know, overlooked part of it. We talk about the Holocaust. We do talk
Yeah.
about, you know, what Japan did, and we
And like, you know, rightfully, because those were horrible things.
Yeah.
But like they do sort of
do
overlook.
sweep under the rug what happened with the internment of innocent Japanese, American citizens during the Second World War
and stuff like even over here in like Britain, like what even to like our own people that even helped, like Alan Turing, he was a code breaker, but because he was gay, they like poisoned him.
It's all a bit fucked up.
It's pretty fucked up. Yeah, war's fucked up.
War's fucked up.
War's fucked up.
War.
What is it good for?
What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to recommend it to someone to watch, maybe tell them have a sit down. Don't if you want
watch this on a night where you're not doing anything the next day.
Yeah, like
and be in a good mental state.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Have like, if you're feeling in a particularly strong mental state and you feel like you want to watch something related to World War II, put this on and then cry.
Yeah.
And then praise it and then swear to never watch it again.
And then you go sleep.
Yeah. And have the kid screaming your brother's name in like your nightmares.
No, thank you. No.
I wish the short story was still available in English. I think it was printed in like the 80s in English around the time the movie originally came out in Japan, but I can't find any copies still available. I'd love to read that as like a way of seeing,
Do we want to give context for like what it is
so
about? Because there's a little bit of a story which is a bit more hard hitting as well.
So obviously I mentioned in the opening that it's based in the short story by Akiyuki Nosuka about his experiences during the war, but it's an apology to his sister because very much that is what happened to them.
Yeah,
the story of Grave of the Fireflies
die of malnutrition in the war.
I think
the short story is basically, from what I hear, him coping with that and basically apologizing to like her spirit.
Hold on, I've clicked on the wrong link. Let me just check the Wikipedia article. One of his sisters died as a result of sickness. His adopted father died during the firebombing proper, and his younger adopted sister Keiko died of malnutrition in Fukui. And it was written as a personal apology to Keiko regarding her death. Absolutely just... Yeah.
I read that, I think just before you actually sent it as well. And I was just like, oh, that makes it so much worse than it already was.
Yeah.
Without having read it, I feel like this movie will probably do it justice in a weird way.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't know, and it's up for him to,
obviously
decide that, but I can understand why he, had written that and how this movie came to be from that.
Yeah. Because I remember seeing in the Takahata interview that was on the disc, him talking about reading both Grave of the Fireflies and another book that Nosuka wrote, American Hijiki, which both won prizes, and he read them around the time that they won the prizes, and was like, he related to some of the experiences and knew that he wanted to turn that into a movie, but at the time it was like I think he had been planning it for a while and had like a different idea for it, but because of the Totoro double feature thing, the production got moved up, and so he had to, in his words, he had to take a more traditional approach to it. So I'm really curious as to what his original vision was for it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'm trying to find out if Nosuka ever seen the movie, but I don't think there's ever mentioned.
I just, while I remember, there was a little sort of factoid I heard like after watching it, that like the reason it starts out like with the guys saying, "Oh, this is when I died," so you have that idea that he's gonna be dead by the end, was a way to sort of soften the blow.
Yeah.
Which I remember reading that being like, well, it didn't fucking work.
No.
Yep.
Because while the sister was dying, I had like the flashes of that opening scene in my head, and that made it so much worse.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because Takahata was like, because of the production being moved up and stuff, he was hesitant to like take the role of director and stuff. And it was Miyazaki said to him, this might be your only chance to actually make this, because this isn't the type of movie that many producers are gonna want to make.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's too
heavy,
too sad. Real. It's gonna be hard to get people.
Try to market a sad movie.
Exactly. You can't. like I wonder if it was really lucky or if it was really unfortunate or like that like this got paired up with Totoro.
Yeah, they're
Because
both sort of like
they're sort of companion movies in the fact
Yeah.
they're complete opposites.
but you also have like even weirder of a fact is that Grave of the Fireflies is the war, and then you have Totoro being post
Yeah,
World
very
War
much after
II
that.
in the 50s. So almost like you know how quickly things are starting to
Turn
recover
around,
and
yeah.
turn around.
I mean, we get a hint of that at the end of Grave of the Fireflies when like it's their spirits just sort of looking over modern day.
Tokyo, I think it's Tokyo.
No, I thought it was like the town that they lived in.
I don't know because I'm pretty sure he journeyed to Tokyo before he
Okay.
passed away, and I think that's one of the stations he's in at the
That would
time.
make sense.
Either
Yeah.
way, the message is still sort of
Yeah.
the same. We're past it, but like those like ghosts are still sort of
Yeah.
overhanging.
It's such a weird thing about that time of the war and stuff is that the fire bombings were a double-edged sword, and that they were absolutely horrific, but if it had been conventional ordnance, there's a chance that many of the cities could not have been rebuilt.
No.
Because in France there's whole areas that just aren't habitable because there's like something like 20-30% of the ordnance that was dropped is just undetonated.
Yeah, so they could go off at any
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So it's weird in that they shouldn't have had to rebuild, but because they've had to, it's fortunate that it wasn't.
Yeah, it's a weird way to like think about. But like it's just how that went.
Yeah.
This isn't even talking about fucking Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
No. Oh, let's not get
No.
into
Like
that.
we're not
No.
going into that. No, it's just
that's for whenever we watch Oppenheimer, I guess.
we'll pair that with Barbie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barbenheimer.
Yeah.
Now you know when this was recorded.
Yeah.
This is gonna be months from
Oh
now.
yeah,
my
yeah. This is
God. But everyone will remember.
yeah.
Barbieheimer.
Barbie.
This is coming out in November, I think.
Oh,
Good
good November film to watch.
Yeah. So
You know, when the seasonal depression is.
yeah, it starts kicking in.
Shit, that's probably when I'll watch it. When I get it on like 4K.
Scores.
I said this when we were on the train. I don't know if I can give this any score. It feels weird to give it a score.
I feel like I can't give it anything but a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, like overall, absolutely 10 out of 10. But like, I feel like it's more accurate to say Grave of the Fireflies out of 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much.
It sort of transcends
Out of
that
10.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Grave, Fireflies out of Grave.
And like, there was like tiny points where it would drag a bit, but it doesn't matter.
No.
I feel like it's supposed to drag.
Yeah,
as
like
well.
it feels all very intentional. So I wouldn't, say, oh, well, it dragged, so that would lower my score. I'm like, no, I think sitting down and watching this is just a good experience for you to have. Whether you'll enjoy it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't guarantee, but I don't think a score should be related to how much you enjoyed it.
I think it's something you need to experience at
Yeah.
some point
Yeah.
in your life, but it's not a good experience to
Yeah.
like,
No, exactly.
put
So-
it in words.
Overall, experience it for yourself out of 10. There we
Yeah.
Yes.
Go fucking see for yourself.
go. Yeah.
Out
In
of
a
10.
crying tone as
Yeah.
a tear falls down my cheek. See for yourself.
Appreciate it out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, try to
so-
segue that.
We're gonna hard cut now, bitches.
God.
Totoro. If they could do it in cinemas,
Yeah,
you can do it
exactly.
here.
Props to that opening scene. Perfect pickup.
Oh my god, yeah. Like, what a
Yeah,
what
the
a
opening
complete
credits.
shift.
Like, imagine you're still tear streaming
Yeah.
and that happy-go-lucky little opening.
Totoro.
You just.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
going from Schindler's List to a fucking Kirby game.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's a fair comparison. Or like Oppenheimer to Barbie.
Yeah, beyond brand in this
There's a
month
reason
of,
they say to watch Oppenheimer first.
in this month of summer.
Oh god. It's just such a nice
It's
pick me up after that.
It's the
Yeah.
perfect feel good after
Uh-huh.
despair.
Yeah. Because when I first watched Totoro, I thought, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
But watching it after Grave of the Fireflies, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is fucking great.
In a weird
Yeah.
way, you kind of need to watch Fireflies
Yeah.
and then this.
I watched Totoro the day after. Like, after I just had a long day, I was like,
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that feeling of it hit less for me, where I was like, I need to pick me up. Because I'd
Yeah.
already mentally recovered.
If I hadn't watched Grave of the Fireflies like late in the evening for me, which is when I usually watch this stuff, I totally would have put Totoro on like,
yeah.
right after, because I remember like I need
Yeah.
A little something, something.
For a film called My Neighbor Totoro,
There's
Totoro
very
is-
fucking little Totoro.
Yeah.
We talked about this because we're
Yeah.
always like, let's just, we don't really give our full thoughts, but just small comments. And we're both like, well, there's not a lot of Totoro, is there?
No, but to be fair, do you want more Totoro? Because he is just dead behind the eyes
I
the entire
I love
time.
how just so disconnected from humanity.
Yeah, no, I wanted more. Less cat bust.
no, I want more cat.
I love Cat Bus, but every time the door opens, I'm like, ha.
He freaks me out, and I feel so scared every time he's on screen. But I want more of him.
No.
Her, whatever.
Like, I know I'm not the target audience, but the cat bus invites too many fucking questions.
No, what? I had no.
No seatbelts in the cat bus? Have you seen a
That's the
bastard
first
ghost?
thing you said to me like, on the train, and I had the same reaction of you. Why is that what you're focusing
Yeah.
on?
Have you ever been on a bus that's had seatbelts other than like a stagecoach type? Not a stagecoach, but like a coach type thing.
All buses in the Netherlands that go on the highways are legally required to have them.
And this is 1950s Japan. Where's the highway? Rural Japan.
Still,
I just
do you
say,
see
by
how
the way-
fucking fast this cat bus is?
Can I just state, by the way, just to like go on this topic now that I remember, I didn't realize this was in the 50s.
Yeah, 1950s.
I thought this was modern day.
No.
Like modern day 1988.
It prompted me to look it up when she went to the home and had that like 1920s phone.
Okay, the phone, did give me a sense.
Yeah.
Is that right? But I thought it was just like rural.
They're very
area.
rural, yeah.
I thought that was just like the style.
No, I think the reason I was questioning it was like there's clearly a lot of telephone poles and power lines.
Yeah.
And then they have a phone like that and they don't have a phone in their house. And I was like,
That's the transitional period.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, the cat.
yeah.
This entire movie, vehicle safety is not taken very seriously.
It's
don't think that's-
1950s post-war Japan.
Lena, I don't think that was the message of the
Did
film.
you see the opening scene? They're under a desk. They're moving stuff, and they're like, where should I put my kids? Oh, I could squeeze them in the front.
To be fair,
Or I put them in the back.
to be fair, that just sounds about right for just moving in general.
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
Do you remember the opening of Spirit Away where she's just lying in the back seat and there's
Yeah.
a bunch of stuff in the back of the car?
Yeah. Why is this so prevalent? What in Japan? They're like, just fucking chuck it in.
Again-
It's an animated movie. We've got to get those moving vibes.
Yeah.
It's like at the start of one of the Pokemon games where you're just in the back of the moving truck,
Oh, yeah.
and like you're just like, why was I in there? And like the game explains, you just like going there. I think it's something like that. Yeah.
I think so. Jesus.
But yeah, that's not odd to us for buses to not have seatbelts.
Yeah, that's pretty standard. We came here on a bus with no seatbelts.
I know, but it doesn't go on a highway, so it's fine.
Can you ride your bike with no handlebars?
What?
Elaborate.
Please.
The Logan Paul song.
I don't know.
What?
You don't remember this?
No.
I vaguely remember. I didn't want. I purposely remember trying to avoid it as much as possible, so I don't know.
Oh my god.
We're not asking you to search it up.
What the hell is this?
Wait, where's the...
Oh god, there he is.
There he is.
Oh, you mean like so?
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I can do that.
I can't find the clip, but there's like one where he's riding like a person, like she's like,
She's the bike.
Yeah.
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 Okay. No, yeah, I not the point we're gonna make, but I could ride a bike without handlebars.
I mean, so can I.
Yeah.
I
Back
could
to
Totoro.
Yeah, sorry. Intrusive thought one out there.
yeah. Who?
We're professional on this show.
Yeah. I liked how connected this movie felt to me. Spirited Away. Like
Yeah,
the
I get
dust,
you.
the dust bunny
Oh,
things.
yeah.
They immediately, I was like, I've seen these before.
Yeah, I think they're called soot sprites in Spirited Away.
yeah,
They're
like
dust bunnies.
I was,
And
I thought so. Yeah.
I actually, I was contemplating whether to like watch the subbed or dubbed. I ended up going on sub, but there was a small part where like I listened to the dub back on like certain lines, and they called them suit sprites in the dub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, neat.
I was wondering. Yeah.
So, but like in the subs, it's just like dust bunnies or like soot spreaders
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
You know, neat fact.
Yeah.
Neat little things
Neat
they
little
are.
thing, yeah.
Neat little things they are.
We need neat little facts in this episode after the fucking despair earlier.
Yeah.
Going back to Cat Bus real quick.
Love that sentence and everything it
May
stands for.
is not a destination.
No.
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 That is a person.
I had to ask when the sort of
Oh,
destination.
but my
thing
question
was
is if the
done,
seatbelt go too
how
far.
does that feel to the cat? That feels like it should be painful.
Yeah.
Is it tickling the wrinkles of its brain or
Also,
Well, like Totoro of the Rain.
the
Like
cat
he's
bus,
just vibrating as it's happening. He's like, yes.
cat bus is responsible enough to have lights, but the lights are rats.
oh yeah, the brake lights.
Yeah.
The brake lights. It has brake lights.
I love
but
that.
No,
There's a cat bus code that he has to follow
Yeah.
for safety. You may not understand it,
No, okay,
but
yeah.
he has it.
Okay, I'll trust him in that.
Yeah.
Has he gone through his training or?
Trust me, bro.
Okay, fine.
I love the scene where he's like crawling along the electricity wires.
Yeah.
And like most of his arms are just
Fuck. That was. I watched My Neighbor Totoro with Manuel and I was like, that's fucking Appa if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, that's what I thought the same thing.
And this one was yeah.
Yep, motherfucker. When I saw like the legs just sort of doing that sort of T pose, I was like, oh my god, he's styling on the little girl. That bastard.
As soon as little girl got lost, my first thought just flashbacks to Grave of the Fireflies. You are not killing another
Yeah, I
child.
was like,
You
not
are
again.
not killing another child.
I had that Incredibles clip of Mr. Incredible being like, not again. I'm not strong enough.
I was watching it and like when it started and the mother's in hospital, I'm like desperately sitting there like, does she die?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I was like, they're at it again.
I can't do it again. They can't keep getting away with it.
I had like my finger on like the time bar, and I was like, I will skip.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm not doing it
Yeah,
again.
I am not afraid.
But it's overall very sweet, I
It is
think.
very
in the way that
This
it
is
does that.
the happy ending.
It does make you think she's drowned in a pond, but then raises more questions.
We also discussed this.
Yeah, they find the sandal, which isn't hers.
Not hers.
But you know, when they find out it's not hers, they abandon the search.
Yeah.
And
they're
I'm
like,
like, this is the only part of the movie I'll say is just flat out stupid.
yeah.
And then
There's-
as they stop doing those, have you contacted the police by any? No.
Get Taggart.
What?
Yeah, get Taggart, because there's been a murder.
Yeah. Like, guys, there's still a child possibly missing
And
here.
you're like, well, if she's not in the pond, I don't really give a shit. It's my pond.
Like, guys. Guys.
I also
Who
like how they
found
call a river that seems to run through the village a pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Translation.
different translation errors,
Yeah.
something like that.
Maybe. There are times where like the subtitles feel a bit okay.
Yeah, because like
no, that's true.
obviously like a lot of the time like the little sister is saying Oni-chan, but like in the subs they just say the name of the
Yeah, I
sister.
noticed
Yeah.
that in Grave of the Fireflies as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I was, translation.
I get it because like I think a lot of complaints that people level towards anime when it comes to like translation, if you're watching like non-Ghibli stuff, and I think the reason they do this in Ghibli is probably because it's a larger demographic that it appeals to, is people are like, no one talks like that when they translate it to like Big Sis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, they don't, but in Japan they do.
It's
So
It's just the
we
way the
kinda
culturally,
laugh
language
to-
and the culture is.
Yeah.
It depends what you value more in your translation, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got there's like
Yeah.
when you're doing a translation, there's got to be a balance of like language localization and authenticity.
For Ghibli movies, I can really understand this because I don't think there's anything too complicated in it where like I think any of those would be beneficial to it. It's not like Penguin Highway where him calling her One-chan the entire time makes sense as a translation
Yeah.
thing.
Like it makes sense for the film.
Yeah. So like unlike some other stuff we watch where it's maybe been, critical to understanding relationship context, I don't think it's that big a deal in
No,
Ghibli
you get it.
movies because it's always family.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I want to give props to Anime Dad. He's fun.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he's a bro.
he's just cool.
He's the cool dad.
He is a
Yeah.
very archetypal anime dad in that he's basically just never around.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always working,
But
but,
he's
you
fun.
know, at the very least, he plays with them and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like encourages their like
Exactly.
imaginations, which you know, a lot of dads don't do that.
Yeah,
so,
I think a lot of anime dads could be quite dismissive
yeah.
in these movies.
I mean, we've seen stuff in like, which one was it? Was it Belle or like the one where like the dad's like the mayor? I forget which one.
Oh,
it
that
is.
was your
Oh.
name.
Is it? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
your name. I was like, is it either that or Withering with You? But
I was gonna say Belle's dad's sort of disconnected, but it's more in like a
Yeah, he was just-
hands off kind of. I'm gonna let her
Yeah.
come
Yeah, he's
when
just
she's ready.
more just sort of
Yeah.
hands off. But like, my point is that like we've watched a lot of stuff recently
Yeah.
where like we see that kind of dad. So seeing a very encouraging, albeit still sort of distant,
Yeah.
is sort of refreshing.
I mean, granted, it's a common thing in anime where it's like the parents are just either never mentioned or just are never around.
Yeah, at least they give an excuse for the mum not being.
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, but, like one moment that particularly stood out to me is like they're in the bath and they're like, "Oh, I'm so scared of the big him." I was like, "Oh, we'll just yell him away."
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
laugh him away. That's a
Yeah.
very like
Dad.
errant thing.
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
get.
and you know that kind of shows like even though he's busy and he's got so much on his
Uh-huh.
mind, you know he's
He
working.
still takes care of them.
Yeah, he still takes care. He's a good dad.
Can we
Yeah,
talk
yeah.
about how they've just moved in and the fucking state of his office?
Oh my
yeah, big time.
god.
Dude is not organized.
No.
No.
Honestly, respect.
I was looking at it like, did you just pull them off the truck and put them in there with like were the books there? Did you just tie them all to the shelves and just shove them in? And it's like,
That'll do.
because this is messy as fuck.
Respect. My guy.
Come on, it's difficult moving takes time.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
It takes a while to settle in fully. Also, the house is haunted. Like, there's
Yeah.
this kid. Your house is haunted.
I'm glad we never spend much time in the house because the layout
Yeah.
makes no fucking sense to me.
No,
We're getting sort of Shining vibes of like this layout makes no fucking sense.
no.
Like the
No.
axe shrinks in size and then grows again
Yeah.
when you go outside.
Because, like, I sort of get the downstairs where it's like a lot of traditional Japanese homes have like the sort of like hallway that runs around the center room.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that's quite common. But even then, like, the way it connects to everything else just doesn't compute in my brain.
because it was like
Just
the
don't think about it.
kitchen was separate. Like
Yeah.
the bathroom was next to
Normally,
the kitchen.
the kitchen
Yeah.
leads into the bathroom. It's quite common for
Okay,
Japanese
okay.
homes.
For a certain point, I was like, is this like a bath house? They've just sort of
Yeah.
gone, "Oh, my house
I
is
kind of
this."
feel like that at times.
Yeah.
Their bath is, I get it is a traditional sort of Japanese
Yeah? Oh,
bath,
okay.
but like, it can't be comfortable.
No.
I'll admit at a certain point, and this is purely because of my obsession the last few months, and because I had played Resident Evil 7 not long after. The layout of this sort of reminded me of the Baker House sort of.
I kind of
estate
get it.
and that thing, and I was like, that's not the vibe you want for
No.
this feel good movie because that's a fucked up house.
Yeah, you can really see the lack of Totoro in the fact that we've basically not actually talked about him.
No, but he's a cool little
How
guy.
do you talk about him? He just kind of does
Big.
stuff.
He's a big fuzzy guy. Like I love him. I'd get a plush of him, but
Oh
Same.
yeah.
I saw Cat Bus again, and Totoro again was like,
yeah, honestly, I did start to look up like, can I get this?
yeah,
want
Totoro plushes could get fucking expensive.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah.
It was that and like, what questions am I gonna get from like my family? Just see a random plushie because I don't get plushies.
What
Yeah.
gets me is they're so expensive, yet that's got to be the one piece of anime merch that fucking sells.
Absolutely.
Because
God.
even people who have never seen a Ghibli movie,
They know totally.
they know Totoro.
Yeah, like I knew nothing about this movie itself. But if you show me the guy, I'm like, oh, that's Totoro. I know that's Totoro.
It helps he's in the logo.
He's literally
Yeah.
their fucking logo.
I don't know why he's the logo, but at the same time, I get why they'd want to make him
Yeah.
the logo.
Yeah, he's done nothing to deserve it.
No.
But I get it.
But you know, he's a fuzzy big guy.
Yeah, he plays the flute.
the wooden tutor.
The winter, yeah,
Wooden tutor.
because I said he's just chilling in his tree playing his instrument of some sort, and you just replied wooden tutor,
He plays the wooden tutor.
and I was just like, it would, it too.
It fits because it's
Yeah.
not really a flute. It's like this big,
It's sort of like a cup
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes music.
And I didn't realize that like there must have been holes on it until you see
Like,
the kids up in the
yeah.
tree with
I was
them.
like, it's an ocarina type of thing. That's what I
Yes,
thought.
this was like a really weird through line between both of these movies.
Yeah, because one of the fucking soundtracks in Graves of the Firefly, for like a split second, it sounds exactly like the ocarina in Zelda.
the main theme basically has like an ocarina type
Yeah.
instrument there.
It was to the point where like I did like the sort of dog going up sort of thing when I heard it. Like,
Gross.
it was weird because that's a game I attribute with like very happy memories.
Yeah.
So hearing it in Fireflies was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know what to feel. Totoro's a fun movie.
It is.
I think my favorite sequence from the entire movie though is the bus stop where they're just standing.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
whole
such a nice sequence.
Yeah.
scene where like they're waiting. It's perfectly paced
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly.
because you sort of feel all their emotions with
Yeah.
them. And like,
Yeah.
oh, he's not here yet. He's not
Yeah.
coming. Is he?
Oh, he's not on the
something
bus. That's
happen?
weird.
Like there's that sort of back in your head thought of, did something happen to
Yeah.
them? But,
Yeah.
like at the same time probably not.
But then you see this brainless numpty.
Then Totoro comes
You
in.
just see the feats.
He's also a pluviophile, like
what?
crazy.
What?
A pluviophile, someone who loves rain.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
is it related to that?
How the fuck did you pull that word out? Like,
I don't know.
How do you know English better than us?
yeah, you can't pronounce half of it.
Yeah. I love that he comes in with a leaf on his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's just like, nah, my dude, take this.
No, you take the umbrella and he's just like, okay. It looks like he's about to eat it. at one
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
And she's
and-
like, no.
I love the way he just sort of gradually turns it around and he's just kind of holding it.
Yeah, in front of him.
She's like, no,
And
no,
then
no,
she's
no.
like, no, like this. And he's like,
Ah.
and then like the rain starts to hit his like ear thing because it's pressing up into
Yeah.
the umbrella and he's like, ooh.
Oh, boom.
And then he jumps.
Neuron activation.
Also, while this is happening, there's a frog just in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the frog makes a very non-frog noise.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's supposed to be some sort of
It's a bullfrog.
like meaning.
Bullfrogs do not
Again,
go,
another weird fucking thing that connects these two movies because
Yeah.
they mentioned bullfrogs in Grave of the Fireflies
Yeah.
Like
as
they
well.
eat frogs at one point.
Yeah.
They dried
Fireflies.
them. I don't know if they ate them, but
I mean, they talked about it.
yeah, they talked about it.
Yeah.
Yes, they probably have. Yeah.
I mean, it's war.
Totoro.
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 It absolutely threw me because there's like the opening sequence like during the credits. There's the song, but then the credits start and I'm like, they just went for the full city pop vibe here.
Yeah.
And it caught me off guard.
I sort of talked about this to you and like because we were talking about like, oh, this probably has a lot of nostalgia for a lot of people starting their childhood, and like this is gonna sound really weird and this is just a me thing, but like the opening credits remind me a lot of like British kids cartoons.
I get
you.
ya.
Okay, cool. I'm not insane. So like I got that immediately, and I felt sort of proxy nostalgia for
Yeah.
that, and I was like, huh. This is hitting me probably the same way people who actually grew up with this is
Yeah.
right now. and that's weird.
It's weird these two movies together because one of them is absolutely, Disney of Japan. And then the other one makes me loathe that is a thing that people attribute to Ghibli.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I actually thought about this right after because it's like it's very much an oversimplification.
Yeah.
That doesn't really fit when you look into it.
Because I'd say, like, sure, we've only watched Spirited Away before, and I've watched, like, quite a few Ghibli movies at this point. I'd say Totoro is really the only one
Yeah,
that
like,
falls into, like,
like
Disney
Spirited
vibes.
Away. I mean, a little bit, but like I wouldn't have called that like Japanese Disney
No.
even then. Even when it has fucking Lilo in it.
Yeah.
I feel like Spirited Away feels weird to say, but had more storyline. As you had to
Yeah.
really know a lot of stuff.
Like there was a lot more heavy
Yeah.
themes in it.
Yeah, and you really had to pay attention to this. Well, I feel like with Totoro, you can just kind of lay back and
Yeah.
just watch. There's no underlying themes. Do not look too far
Yeah.
into the cat
Well,
bus.
You're just having fun.
It is
Yeah.
sort of about environmentalism.
Yeah,
A
but
lot of Miyazaki's movies end up being like that.
that's like an undercurrent.
Yeah.
thing that like
Yeah.
you can go for the. Movie
It's
just
way more
fine.
subtle than Nausicaa, that's for sure.
Oh,
which just
absolutely.
fucking beats you over the head with
Yeah.
it.
Care about the environment, motherfucker. And there's that whole like sort of obvious like Shinto inspirations and stuff of like the shrines and like the spirits and
Yeah.
stuff.
I quite like Ghibli movies as like an introduction to Japanese culture.
Absolutely,
I think, because
yeah.
they can sort of help you. They'll feed you the little bits of it, and it's
Yeah.
then if you do end up watching more anime, you'll find more of the in-depth
Yeah.
information as you go along. But I think it helps reduce that culture shock.
Yeah,
It's very easily digestible as content for sure, and it will be a very good way to kind of ease you into it and be
Yeah.
like, so these are like cultural norms, like this is things that are normal.
Because there are just shrines
yeah,
Yeah.
next to the road in Japan.
yeah. I like that to go to sort of more broadly. That's why I'm liking like sort of watching anime with like for like the show or just in my own time. It's like it gives you like a insight into the sort
Yeah.
of culture that you can't really get from an outsider's perspective otherwise.
And I think it's a lot more like from watching anime, you get a lot more kind of subtle yet in-depth cultural context for
You sort
stuff.
of get more of the everyday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of other stuff, it's like it tries to either over-explain it or does like the
Gets
most
a bit-
generic.
I think it gets too academic.
Yeah.
in sort of explaining it, where this feels very sort of casual.
Yeah.
This is a
Oh
good movie.
god, yeah. Like
I'm liking it more as we talk about it.
Yeah. I appreciate Totoro a lot more this time around than I did the first time.
Because you needed to pick me up.
Yeah, but I also
But not
think,
just that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just that I appreciate what it's trying to do more now as being slightly older. Because like I mentioned it to you, when I checked to update my anime list last night to like mark it as having been rewatched and mark it as having seen it subbed. I noticed that I had watched it back in October 2014. And I was like, that's almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like coming up to 9 in a couple months.
And I would have been 17 at the time.
Yeah.
So just in terms of how much I can appreciate stuff and how much my media knowledge
Sort of understanding.
yeah, I guess.
Experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My critical eye is completely different now from back
Yeah.
then. And so I think I just have a general appreciation more of what it's trying to do as a movie.
I think if I watched this at like 17, I definitely wouldn't have appreciated it as much. I still would have thought it was a good movie. I
Yeah.
just, especially after seeing Grave of the Fire.
Yeah.
I think if I watched those two back to back at 17, one would have heavily overshadowed the other, even if I did watch Totoro
Yeah.
like right after.
So
Good
yeah,
stuff.
it was good stuff.
This was a good selection.
Yeah.
it feels very contrasting, but again, because it was a double feature, I think it works.
I don't know what else we could have paired up
No,
Grave of
no,
the Fireflies with.
absolutely.
I think we're very lucky that that ended up
Yeah.
happening because we didn't plan
We did not plan
like initially.
like we've paired them up, but like at the time we picked them, I just picked Totoro as like a good contrast.
Yeah.
And didn't even know until I watched Grave of the Fireflies on Monday night.
Yeah, like just a couple like days ago at the time of recording, we didn't know it was originally double bill
No.
on the production side. So that's fucking wow.
Yeah.
And it's strange to me that in the effort of bringing them all to the West, and the numerous times that they've been re-released, because Disney owned the Ghibli movies at one point, Canal owned them over here, G Kids now own them in the US, and they've probably gone through other distributors at other points in time. No one's ever tried to put Grave of the Fireflies and Totoro together as a marketable thing.
Which is
Understandable.
weird because they're very complete opposites, but they fit together
Yeah.
really well. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if eventually they got like a Blu-ray release where it was just both of them back to back.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe licensing prevents that.
That's probably it. Yeah.
Because unlike like Dragon Ball, where you can buy most of the Blu-rays movies in a Blu-ray like pack, which I was checking through my Amazon recently and realized I paid far too much for. It was I paid for it. I didn't realize at release. I bought it when it came out, and it was £80, and now you can get it for like 20 or 30 for 13
You got
movies.
scammed.
I got fucking scammed. And the funny thing is, I bought them back in like 2017 or something, and I fucking haven't watched a single one of them on Blu-ray yet.
At that point, it's fair. It's a protest.
Yeah. But I think because they're all the same franchise, you can bundle them all together. Whereas even though they're all the same studio for Studio Ghibli, I think, licensing wise, it's probably a bit more of a nightmare
Absolutely.
to create packs of the movies.
Yeah, that's a bit sad, but
Yeah.
reality.
So yeah, scores for Totoro.
I will give it a 9.
I have some final thoughts. I would
Okay.
say
Okay.
for me it's a 7. But I think that's mostly because I don't see myself as the target audience, and I understand the score would be higher if you relate to it more.
Yeah, I will state before this conversation, it was a little lower.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do have some problems with the ending where I feel like some things remain unresolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'll-
I think using your credits to tie up loose ends should not be done.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the reason I gave it a 9 instead of maybe a 10 is that it ends really quickly.
It does.
And
Yeah.
I meant to bring this up and I've just realized I've forgotten. But like, the ending really creeps up on you to the point where, like, after I watched it, I sort of searched, like, is there a part 2 that
Yeah, I was like,
supposed to watch?
How's the mom? How's
Like,
mom
there's a lot of
doing?
loose threads there that get sorted in the credits, which
Yeah,
I'll
I'm like,
agree isn't very satisfying.
No. Like, I understand, like, oh, maybe you're short on time, but to me, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
No.
I-
To have your story arc, you need it within the movie
It does
itself.
sort
I'm
of
not
feel
counting
like
that.
it hits. Oh, we're at 90 minutes. Cool, we're done.
It feels like they ran out of budget.
Yeah.
I was expecting them to be like, is there like a show that continues the story, like a
Like,
series?
is
'Cause I
there
would
like a-
watch
is
that.
there like
I'm
a
honestly
short?
surprised they've never done something like that.
Yeah, because it's such a marketable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's iconic at this
It
point.
is. I wonder if that's probably just a Miyazaki thing, to be fair.
True.
Your score?
I think 7's a fair score. Like I say, I enjoyed it, but I don't like have a distinct love for it.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think 7's fair. Good movie. It does have some issues, like you say. It just sort of ends. I think the pacing can get a bit.
yeah.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's Grave the Fires and Fireflies and Totoro, the infamous Studio Ghibli double feature.
What a combination.
What a
Oh my
combination! What a
goodness,
journey
yeah.
on
Oh,
an
yeah.
episode. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Hit that subscribe button.
I hope you got plenty of tissues for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you haven't seen either of these movies, oh boy, you're in
go
for a
watch them.
fucking journey.
Go watch both, because I don't think our conversations do. Grave of the Fireflies, we don't do justice just talking
No,
about
no,
it.
I
No,
think we
even with what we
talked a
did.
lot more about context and
Yeah,
Yeah.
just sort of the impact
Yeah.
on it, and
Even
it
if we
had-
spoil that, you still watch it.
I mean,
The-
the film
spoils
thankfully in
it.
and of itself spoils.
Yeah.
yeah, like it's not a film you can really spoil. 'cause
No.
No,
'Cause,
you
like-
won't spoil the absolute fucking roller coaster
It's
you'll go
all,
through.
it's all about the emotions you go through
Yeah.
while watching it, and less about like the actual plot.
Yeah.
like and what it's well, it is what it's about, but you know what I mean.
The interesting thing is, I think the way you say that it's more about the emotions you go through than the plot is that there's not, and even Takahata pointed this out in the interviews, there's not much of a story there.
No.
No,
It's really just about these
it's
kids.
very simple.
Yeah.
but it's the fact that it's so simple it makes it feel very real.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm definitely one to be like, no, structure, it doesn't work. Structurally, it doesn't work. It doesn't take you through the motions. It should, but you don't need to find it in there.
No.
It's like
No.
the relatability of their situation is enough to kind of take you through
It
the
carries
motions.
the entire thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need the necessarily, like, oh, this is the turning point after Act 1. We've introduced everything. Even if there were some bits you could be like, perhaps this moment could fit there. You don't need to.
No.
Yeah.
It just works as a piece that needs to you need to take it in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just need to let it kind of flow over you and just take it all in.
Perfect movie. Never touching it again.
Yes.
No,
Uh-huh.
never again.
So yeah, hit that subscribe button. You'll be seeing the end screen here where it will
Hit that
direct
bell.
you to.
Oh, what is this?
Do
Another
not-
fun episode?
Hold up, because we can't. I learned that you can't overload the listeners with information. If you tell them to do a bunch of stuff,
Oh.
they're not going to do any of it. So we have to pick two, and it's going to be
Oh, shit.
subscribe. And
Comment?
the end screen is there. and you can interact with it from there.
Forget I said hit the bell. Forget
Yeah.
I said hit the
No,
bell.
don't hit the bell. Don't hit the bell.
Because apparently, yeah, if you just tell them like, subscribe, hit the bell, it's too much of a
much.
trope, and it's too much
Jeez.
information that people just aren't going to listen.
It's too much of a standardized
Yeah.
exit now.
It's a
Yeah.
thing
Kinda
that
like Men in
everybody
Black.
says.
Okay,
Like the-
so
Yeah.
listen to me. 1, you subscribe, and then 2, interact with the screen.
Yes.
That's all you need to do.
You'll be seeing the end screen here. You can do all the stuff that can indicate there, and you can go and leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought of these movies and
No,
this
that's
episode.
too much. It's too much overwhelming.
I didn't say subscribe though, because the
Okay, that's
subscription
fine.
button
So-
is on the end screen.
So, it's very
Ah,
smart.
smart.
It's
Yeah.
very smart.
So our subscription, our
too
end
big.
screen has a subscribe button. It has
Well, now it better.
most recent end,
It's probably been up for like 2 minutes now.
most recent episode, and a link to the full playlist.
Wow.
So interact with that and comment down below.
Thank you.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Farewell.